Edward James, British in 1907. He was one of the main patrons of surrealism. He traveled to Mexico after he stayed for a time in New York, and after the Second World War in 1945 he visited Cuernavaca and some other points of our country. In some of our countries, he listened to the story about the orchids in the Huasteca Potosí. He loved plants and flowers, and he decided to look for these plants. When he arrived in Xilitla, he was amazed by the abundance of this area. He was in the midst of a wood, of the forest, and of clouds. He stayed there to realize his dream, his own garden, as he has always imagined. Xilitla was the form of life that James had strived for. To break the paradigm of the castle where he grew up, and in order to find himself and his wish for freedom, and to meet his wish of freedom. In 1962, it snowed in Xilitla, and it killed many of the orchids that he had planted in his garden. And based on this, he decided to create concrete structures and who would represent the orchids and other plants. His garden was Garden Eden. He would the permanent ruin and the symbol of life and death. Through poems and drawings, James represented his dreams. The process of construction of the garden was very was some kind of art. The meanings would come from the human labor. For example, a seed which will grow by if it is watered and if it sees the sunlight. The creativity of James became alive thanks to the local laborship. The construction of the garden involved almost the entire city, and they became the partners in the realization of James' dream. The construction of this space was done in different stages, and it took several years. When James died in 1984, the time stopped in this garden, waiting for a future of new opportunities and challenges. What I presented is a short story of how this space was constructed and what it meant in the beginning of his founder and for the population, and which is now, what it represents now, is at the beginning, as of 2000, it became a space which was opened to the public, where we find several of differences and decisions that we have to take together with the community and with the workers who founded to build this park, which was declared an artistic monument, which is heritage of the Institute of Fine Arts, and the ground was bought by a foundation who is now managing the garden. And to date, we have last year we had over 300,000 visitors. So some of the problems that we have to face day after day are the salespersons. There are long lines to enter the place. There are tours being given, and the increase of visitors, for example, in Eastern week and on long weekends. The people are looking for to get a good picture, and they're going they're entering spaces which shouldn't be entered. They are climbing the different structures, and sometimes they take plants with them. We have the series of orchids and endemic species of this region which shouldn't be taken. And finally, obviously, trying to get this one picture and this memory that can be shared on the social network. So the question is, how can we manage, how can we handle this phenomenon? How can we make sure that this place still will continue to belong to the people, but at the same time that people can recognize it as a natural heritage, but also cultural heritage, and see it as a space where art and nature come together, and that it's praised. It's not only a place for fun and diversion, but also a place for leisure. Tourism is. This is not a. A park, a normal park, but it's natural heritage. And the idea is that I would like to invite you to give me some solutions, also some questions facing the situation that I just presented. I have 3 boxes here with 3 different questions. What is the commitment? Well, if in this context, what is the commitment that a visitor has with such a place as for the respect for the heritage, of caretaking, of appraisal? So what does a visitor expect from such a place? It's not only that we are imposing a set of rules, but also what is the relationship that we can have with the visitors, and what are the solutions can we propose together as a team, as a community, and a collective strategy facing the problems that we are going through today in this garden. So if you want to come to the front and to write down your answer, or if you want just give some observations, so we can also have I'm also open for conversation, or you just want to write down your observations, you can do this here in these boxes. So thank you very much.